Over the past 2 weeks or so, we've had on some different lawmakers taking a look back at the 85th Texas Legislative Session. Also, some lawmakers who have been criticized by some statewide magazines. We've had them on to talk a little bit about the criticisms. And we continue our conversation with Texas lawmakers here on the program. We visit now with State Representative for District 68, Representative Drew Springer.
Hey, good to be back, Chad.
Well, I appreciate you calling in today. Tell our listeners, in your opinion, how you think this the 85th session went overall.
Overall, I think it went well. There were some disappointing spots, and I think, naturally, sometimes we look at those, not dealing with school finance, and so, especially for some of my small rural schools, it's a really big deal. I've got a letter going to the governor today asking him to add ASATAR for small schools on there. I've got schools like Guthrie or Jate that'll close, and you won't have a single school in an entire county, and that's just not right. So we'll continue to fight for that. But we had a good conservative budget. I've got some good Second Amendment stuff done this session. The governor's, one of his 20 calls is one of my bills, which is on pro-life, making sure cities and counties don't fund abortion clinics. So we just need an extra 30 days.
Yeah, well, and you also had a big win on, I believe it was House Bill 810, correct? The stem cell bill?
Absolutely. And while I wasn't the author of that, obviously it was near and dear to my heart, and worked with Tan Parker on that to make sure that adult stem cells can be used in Texas. People don't have to fly to Panama or Mexico or China to have that really, groundbreaking research has taken place. And, it's helping people with MS, Parkinson's, spinal cord injuries. It's got a lot of great promises. And so it's really exciting to be able to bring that to Texas.
And that's something the governor has he signed that yet, or is that something that you've heard from his? I mean, obviously, everything that we've heard, he was real happy about this.
He was. He was excited about it. He has signed it. We're going to do an official signing during the special session, where we bring all the advocates and everybody in, do the big photo shoot, and from that standpoint. But it's been signed, and now, unfortunately, the thing about the special is we were supposed to, Tan Parker and myself, go up to D.C. and lobby the FDA along with Governor Rick Perry, or now Secretary Rick Perry, to make sure that the FDA doesn't try to overstep and try to stop us from being able to do this work.
Very interesting. So you do have overtime. You do have a special session coming up. Were you surprised at the amount of issues, the bulk of the issues that Governor Abbott laid out for lawmakers to get to during a special session?
I was surprised a little bit about the number, but I probably had it somewhere between 12 or 15 items I thought he was going to add on. I think some of the city overreach stuff is not what I was projecting, and I don't know if anybody would predicted that was going to happen, but I knew he was going to look at pro-life. I knew property taxes, and obviously Sunset was going to be on there. And then really we need to work with school finance, and I know he wants to make it a study, wants to give teachers a raise, but I think we need to do some things now to fix it before we go into or wait till next session.
Visiting with Representative Drew Springer here on the Chad Hasty Show. Let me ask you about property tax issues. SB2 was a contentious bill in Austin. Once it got to the House, it changed quite a bit. The governor has signaled that he wants a version of SB2 to pass, if not SB2, that was SB2's language altogether, that he would like to see that pass. The lieutenant governor obviously behind SB2. What are your feelings on it? You probably saw that Charles Perry out here got pretty raked over the coals by Texas Monthly over SB2. Would love to have your thoughts over SB2 and what you would like to see with that.
Sure. I mean, one of the things is I think the House made SB2, while we left the rollbacks out of it, the transparency, the fact that the appraisal district reform, the fact that you're going to get a statement that says, here's what your house is worth, and then the taxing entities have to send you a letter and say, here's what your taxes are. So you realize who is really raising your taxes. It's not the appraisal district, it's the taxing entity. And, I've got more taxing entities than anybody. So I hear from a lot of county judges and mayors, and I know that nobody likes having their hands tied, but, there was a recent poll, and I think 91% of Republicans supported the fact that if you went over a 5%, you ought to have to come to the voters. And so I think that's what constituents are really wanting. They realize they want to have that opportunity to keep those officials in check. And so we may very well have a two-step approach to this. We may bracket it to the, where 80% of the people live and see how it works and come back the next session and either add everybody or take a few people out.
Is that something you would support? Because when I had Senator Perry on the show, he brought up, along with one of your colleagues, Representative Burrows, when he was on the show, he brought up that cutting some of the rural areas out, and I think limited it to what the top 20 cities would be affected. That would include Lubbock, by the way, for listeners out here. That the top 20 cities would be impacted by this. Is that something you like the sound of?
No, I do, and part of that is I'm going to stop by Dickens here and visit with Kevin, the county judge, and I mean, everybody in Dickens knows that they can catch him at the coffee shop or wherever, church, and talk to him if they have an issue with the budget. You get to Harris County, and you've probably never met the county judge in your life, and you probably can't get past his security detail to talk to him. And so it's a different world. And so I think from that respect, let's look at bracketing it, like I said, where 60 to 80% of the people live, and that's the top 20 counties, and that's the top 20 cities. And that surprises people, but if you see what the beautiful view I have out of my car, and you realize there's not a lot of people out here, you realize that thank goodness maybe they don't all live out here.
Yeah. Can you stay on hold for one segment, and we can come back and visit with you again?
Sure.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do, we're going to put you on hold. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Representative Drew Springer. Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. Right now we are visiting with State Representative Drew Springer, who is on the side of the road somewhere in West Texas heading towards Lubbock. Is that the best way to put it, Representative?
That is exactly it. Between Seymour and Lubbock, and I know you'd asked me when I first got on and we had a bad cell, but I have my daughter in the back of the car, and we're going to go tour Texas Tech. She's a senior in high school and looking at where she might want to go to college.
Very cool. Well, Texas Tech is a very good school. I can tell you that for sure. And
and we need to make sure that they get that vet school because she thinks she wants to go into veterinary medicine, and I'd love to have Texas Tech needs to get rolling forward on that, and I'm glad that Charles Perry put that in the budget. It's something Frullo, Burrows, myself had all supported and actively had fought for. I mean, obviously there's some challenges there. But we need to get the Regents, I think, now moving forward on this.
Do you think that? Do you think the Regents will move forward on it? There's been some speculation, maybe, that the Regents aren't going to. What have you heard any talk about that?
Well, that's I'm hearing sort of through the rumor mill, probably like you, that right now it's the Regents who are having a little bit of pushback on that, and. I don't know how you're a board of Regents to represent Texas Tech, and we have 27 million kids or people here in Texas. One vet school is not enough. Amarillo is closer to 5 other vet schools than it is College Station. It's a long overdue. We need a place for large animal veterinarians to be able to train, to be able to meet the demands of West Texas. And if that's not crystal clear, we may not have the right Regents in place.
Visiting with Representative Drew Springer here on the Chad Hasty Show. Let's look at the special session. When I had the governor on the program, he basically said that, hey, my priorities and the lieutenant governor's priorities aligned. The speaker's priorities did not align with my priorities. We're going into a special session, and everybody hopes that at least priority-wise, most are on the same page, because I know y'all don't want to be there for a very long time in the hot July weather down in Austin. Do you think that people's priorities will be kind of brought together, or do you think you're still going to have a lot of this back and forth between the issues? Like, for instance, the bathroom bill. Is this something that's going to be easy to pass?
Well, no, I think that one will probably be the toughest one to pass. And property tax, sadly, may be right behind that on where we sit on this rollback. I think the bracketing may resolve the property tax. But on the bathroom, I was glad to hear the governor call for not the Senate's version, but actually my desk mate, Ron Simmons' version of that bill. And I think that was sort of where North Carolina ended up, that the business community was happy with. It protected our kids, both not only in the bathrooms, but really, to me, more important is the locker rooms. You know, especially with like I said, a senior in high school daughter, that's a big deal for me, to know that, she's safe in there and not having to worry about somebody who wants to self-identify tomorrow as somebody else.
Right.
And so I hope we can agree on that being the compromise, especially, like I said, the speaker's biggest concern is the business community going to, not come to Texas, is, the NCAA. But they've signed off on the sort of the North Carolina deal, and I think they're happy with what Ron Simmons said, and hopefully we can get that passed.
Any concern for you when it comes to, we've heard, I believe it was Houston yesterday, they're the latest city to join in on this lawsuit over the new immigration law or anti-sanctuary cities law. Do you any concern in your mind about how that law will hold up in court?
No, I think, part of people are saying ours is sort of like Arizona. Arizona actually required them to check documents. Ours is not. It's permissive. It's based on law enforcement having reason to believe while they have somebody detained. Arizona has already stood up, so I feel comfortable Texas will stand up. It's those big four cities is the whole reason we had to pass it anyway, because, they want to turn a blind eye to the law and allow people that are here illegally that have committed crimes or being detained because alleged to do it, not to be able to, help out with ICE and the detainers.
Representative Drew Springer, appreciate you giving us a call today. We're going to let you continue to head up the road and towards Lubbock, Texas, and hope you enjoy the time here and enjoy the tour of Texas Tech University.
All right. Thanks, Chad. Have a great day.
You too. That's Representative Drew Springer here on the Chad Hasty Show. Always a pleasure to visit with him here on the program. I think one of the interesting things that he brought up there, Jody, we weren't planning on getting into this exactly, but the Regents of Texas Tech University, are they the ones who are slow walking this whole Texas Tech vet school? Are they getting pressure from some outside forces, A&M, to not have a vet school for Texas Tech University? Something to keep your eye on. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.